Hello, welcome to my SMTP tutorial. Now, email has become an essential part of communication in today's digital age, and the technology behind it is SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Let's take a closer look at what SMTP is, how it works, and its importance in networking. Now, SMTP ensures that emails are delivered reliably and efficiently across the internet. Regardless of what email service or software is being used, it allows different email clients and servers to communicate with each other using a common protocol, making it easier for businesses and organizations to communicate with each other and with customers. In simpler terms, SMTP is a technology that enables you to send emails from one email address to another. It does this by routing your email messages to a series of servers until it reaches its final destination. Now, let's take a look at how SMTP works. Now, we can look at it from this perspective here, where the sender composes an email using the preferred client. The message then goes to an outgoing mail server in the SMTP queue, along with the sender's and recipient's address. It's almost like real-life mail. In order to identify the recipient's incoming mail server, the outgoing mail server makes contact with the DNS server. And we have learned about what DNS server is from past modules. Once the recipient's incoming mail server is located, the outgoing mail server establishes a connection using SMTP. Finally, the outgoing mail server transfers the email messages to the established connection, which is then delivered to the recipient's email client. Now let's take a look at what the SMTP commands are and what their importance actually is. So starting with hello. Hello or LO initiates communication with the SMTP server and identifies the server's domain name. Mail from indicates the server's email address. RCPT2 indicates the recipient's email address. Data commences the email message's transmission, and quit closes the connection with the SMTP server. The SMTP message format. SMTP message format is basically three parts, which is the header, the message body, and then and any other attachments. The header contains information such as sender and recipient's email address, subject line, and date timestamp. The message body contains the actual message that the sender wants to convey, and attachments can be anything such as images, documents that the sender wants to include with their message. Now let's take a look at what the importance of SMTP servers are. SMTP servers are crucial for transmitting email between clients, routing messages through the internet to their final destination. They handle incoming and outgoing email traffic and ensure the security and reliability of email communication. Now let's take a look at IMAP and POP. IMAP, or Internet Message Access Protocol, is a more modern protocol that allows users to access emails directly from the server without downloading them to a device. This means that users can manage their emails across multiple devices and see the same message in folders everywhere. IMAP synchronizes changes made to emails across all devices connected to the email, making it easier to manage email across multiple devices. POP, or Post Office Protocol, on the other hand, downloads email messages to a client device and usually deletes them from the server. This means that if you access your email from multiple devices, you may not see all of your messages on each device, since each device will only show the messages that were downloaded to it. In summary, IMAP is a more advanced protocol that allows users to access and manage their emails from multiple devices and ensures synchronization of changes made to email across all devices. POP is an older protocol that downloads email messages to a client device and deletes them from the server. Now, how are IMAP and POP related to SMTP? Well, as we know, SMTP is used for sending emails from one server to another, while IMAP and POP are used for retrieving emails from a server to a client device. Together, these three protocols form the foundation of the email system, allowing users to send and receive emails from anywhere using different devices and email clients. So now I will show you how to make a simple SMTP client by using SMTP-lib in Python. So starting off, we have to import SMTP-lib. SMTP-lib is one of the most popular and most commonly used SMTP server in Python and is used in production by a lot of large companies as well, and a lot of small-time developers use them for their websites as well. I used to use one for one of my websites where I use Django as the backend. So you can actually use SMTP-lib to send emails for your websites, which is very cool. Now, to set up this SMTP server, we have to create the SMTP server. So let's just create the SMTP server equals. I'll be using Gmail. So I'll be using the Gmail's SMTP server, smtp.gmail.com. For the SMTP port, the port I'll be using is 587. That is Gmail's TLS or TCP. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. Username is going to be my email. and the password is going to be a app generated password. So you can learn how to do this on the internet. So first of all, you're going to need to enable two-factor authentication in your Gmail account if you're doing it in that, or if you're doing from any other one, you're going to have to take a look into their own specifications. But for Gmail, you can use app generated passwords, which can only be unlocked after you set up a two-factor authentication. I will leave a link to an article that shows you how to do the two-factor authentication as well as setting up the app passwords. Next up, we set up the message structure. So we start from the from address, which is going to be the same one because I don't have another Gmail account. So I'll just use the same one. The to address, it's going to be the same one again. And then the subject can be that subject. And then this is going to be your message. So the body is going to contain your actual message that you want to send in the email. So I'm just going to say based SMTP. There you go. So we have created the variables now to actually create the message that we will be attaching via send mail. So I'm just going to create a formatted string. I'm going to add from, this is going to be from address. To is going to be the to address. The subject is going to be the subject. And finally, the body is going to be the body. So now we have set up the message. Now to actually send the message using send mail. So we can start off by saying with SMTP lib dot SMTP. So we're going to give the SMTP server and then the SMTP port, which we would like to use as server. So we're going to use that server. Then we're going to start the TLS, and then server.login. We're going to give out password and username, and then server.sendmail. So we're going to give the from address, the to address, and then the message that we created earlier. So that's honestly it. Like, this is a very simple one, and SMTP makes it simple. There are quite a lot of ways you can add things to it, maybe attachments. But you can do that on your own time, or if you want to, or if there's enough requests, I might make a separate video about that as well. So now before we run this, let's actually go to Wireshark and see if we can see the SMTP packets going live. So yeah, here we are in Wireshark. I'm going to start the capture right now. Now let's go to the Python program and then run it. Let's go back and then let's search for SMTP. And then yeah, you can see that the SMTP files have been caught. Now let's take a look at Gmail. And yeah, as you can see, the test server has been working properly. This is my email and this is the email that I got. Test subject, based SMTP. Now let's take a look at the packet analysis for the Wireshark. So as you can see, to begin the SMTP, the first step is to establish a connection. Now, the client initiates a TCP connection first with the SMTP server on port 25 or 587. I chose 587 using a three-way handshake, as you all know. Once the connection is established, the client sends a ECHLO or hello command to the server to identify itself and start the SMTP session. Next, it starts the TLS, because we mentioned in the code to start the TLS to make the encryption. Start the encryption as well. It says ready to start the TLS. And by the way, yeah, you can see in the TCP here. The port is 587. And then it's ready to start the TLS. And then here we have the SMTP server that is responding to us. Now comes with the authentication of our username and password. So as you can see, this is my username and this is my password. We were accepted. So this was the message that we got. And then this is the mail from to identify the sender, which is just me, or which is just my email ID that I use. And then after that, the RCPT2, this is the recipient, and this is also my email, in this scenario at least. Once the recipients have been identified, so if you have multiple recipients, it creates multiple of these packets. So once the recipients have been identified, the client sends the data command to signal that it sends data to start the message. It sends data to signal the start of the email message. The email message is then transmitted in the form of a packet here. So you can see this packet especially. As we can take a deeper look at this, we can see that it contains an IMF packet inside of it, inside of the SMTP. And then it contains all the information. So the message, which was base SMTP, the subject, the test subject, and then the from and the to addresses. And then finally, once the email has been fully transmitted, the client sends a quick command to terminate the SMTP session and close the TCP connection. And this is the end of the transmission. Thank you. I will leave all the relevant links for SMTP. So if you want to dig deeper into SMTP, you can do that. And I'll also leave the two-factor authentication as well as the app password links below as well. I will also be leaving the GitHub repository link for the SMTP code that I wrote today. So you can feel free to check that out. Thank you.